Building downtown. Building downtown. Building downtown.
Hey, yo, it's The Building Downtown. You can follow us on social media at The Building DT. You can follow and subscribe to the show on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, TalkShoe, wherever you get your podcast from. I'm your host, Jason Kelly. You can follow me at JKellyMMA. You can follow my co-host, Kirill Kasatskiy, at Kirill Raps. You can follow my other co-host, Amy Barton, at Ames Bell. Holy motherfucking shit. We got some KOTD royalty in the house today. But for people that say or don't think you can turn battle rap and parlay it into a whole career, this guy might be the walking example of it. He is one of the people responsible for the new hit Netflix series, Yasuke. I don't think I'm pronouncing that right.
Oh, you're pretty close. It's Yasuke.
Yasuke.
Wow.
We'll take
most people go like Yasuke, so you were actually closer than most. Yeah,
that's nice. That's nice. But as you can probably already tell, I know him more for where he came from, being the first ever KOTD champion. Alex Kid Twist Larsen. How's it going, my man?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, thank you for coming, man. Like I said, you're fucking KOTD royalty. And as you could tell from the intro, anime is not my thing. Another thing you've set a record for is the most anime I've ever watched in my life. I never given it a chance, and I watched the first episode of that show, and afterwards I felt like I came out of an acid trip. So I'm not going to front and be like, hey, yo, like I did my research, and because these anime fools will rip me apart. They know the shit inside out.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, if episode 1 made you feel like an acid trip, it goes so much further down that rabbit hole. So I'd advise you to stay away if that's the case then.
I'm really glad you said that because now I absolutely will not be watching it.
Now, Kirill and I checked it out to see what was going on. Obviously, we had to. And it is super fucking cool. Like your transition, I shouldn't even call it transition. I don't know if it necessarily is one, but like what you have turned your career into, right? Me knowing you from battle rap, this Kid Twist, and Bodied, which we're definitely going to talk about. And now you got this project going on. And the huge thing is, right away, when I told Kirill about it, he was like, how the fuck did he get a Netflix deal? So before we get into too much of the making of the show, like how does a deal like that come about?
I mean, that in itself is a wild story. So in 2017, Bodied started playing festivals. So we premiered at TIFF.
Mm-hmm.
Had a great premiere there. Then a few weeks later, it played at Fantastic Fest, which is a festival in Austin. And in attendance at one of the screenings happened to be Flying Lotus.
Okay.
And he loved the movie, which is still incredible to me, and tweeted about it. So obviously I replied to the tweet and kind of decided to shoot my shot and sent him a DM. I can't even really remember what I said. But we just like went back and forth a little bit on Twitter for a while, and then I think at some point I sent him my phone number, not really expecting him to ever contact me, and he just sort of texted me out of the blue one day.
Wow.
I can't and didn't say like, yo, it's Flylo or something like that. Just texted me something, and I was kind of like, yeah, thanks, man. I don't have your number saved, so I don't know who this is. And he's like, oh yeah, it makes sense. It's Flying Lotus. I'm like, oh shit, okay.
New number, who this?
Yeah. So that was a pretty hilarious start to our interaction. But we just, so we just been talking about working on something together, obviously, because I'm a huge fan of his, as almost everyone who listens to hip hop is, and he liked the movie so much. So he was interested in maybe having me, write something that he was working on. And he was thinking about doing something in the anime space, and then ended up getting involved in this Netflix show. And he's the one who kind of brought me on board, because he didn't just score the show. He was an executive producer as well. So he was involved in creating the story and the production of it, from pretty early on. And he said, he told me, he's like, we're getting a lot of writers in who have kind of like, a very stoic sort of very serious take on things. So I think we need like a bit of a different vibe in the mix as well. And so, he passed my name along. They had me do a little writing test where I wrote like a 7-page scene to submit. And clearly they liked it, because they hired myself and then Nick Jones, who was the head writer, to write these 6 episodes.
I'm sorry, did you say 17 pages for a test?
Oh, just seven.
Okay.
It's not that crazy.
All right.
Not that crazy. I mean, look, it's screenplay format too, that's like, I don't know, that's hardly any words, 7 pages. It's all right.
Wow. All right. I also want to say you will find as we go on that basically what I'm here for is completely irrelevant commentary and random questions. And I want to point out, okay, then we're going to like each other a lot. You're my new friend. But I want to point out that what you just illustrated in 10 seconds is something that the two people, or at least one of the two people you're talking to right now, have given me shit for my entire life, which is my belief in no ask, no get, especially on Twitter. Mm-hmm. So more of that, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. You might as well go for it. I mean, the worst thing is you just get no response, and that's fine, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, exactly. Look, thankfully your DMs were open. That's how I messaged you back in January, right?
Yeah,
You're
that's right.
Follow up like late April, early May. And it was like fucking May 1st. I hit you right back up. I was like, I didn't forget, right? You got to shoot your shot. And, to me, being such a huge battle rap fan for fucking ever, like you're like one of the goddamn gods, right? So like for you hitting up Flying Lotus, it might have been the same thing because I'm like, I don't know if he's gonna respond to me, right? And you responded and then months later, it's like you don't know, right? If he says follow up 4 months later, like that could be a fuck off reply, right? They just want to be,
you never know.
They want to be respectful. I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking be like just take that as go away. I'm coming right back late April, early May, and it worked out. You got to take that shot when the opportunity's there.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So, yeah, everything in my life is a testament to that. Absolutely.
So I take it you're a fan of anime then?
I am. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not the most hardcore fan in the world. Yeah. But a lot of my favorite films and my favorite TV shows are anime. So, I've always been like a fan of the genre, just not as like well educated in it as I could be. But I've also over the course of working on this show, I've been giving myself more of a crash course in it, so I'm getting up to speed.
Yeah, and like there's a lot going on in that genre with even subgenres, is there not?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Just very, within the umbrella of anime, there's so many different types of shows, subgenres, as you say, and just such a different vibe to all of them, and different tropes, different expectations. So there's just a ton to dig into.
I think I've even seen some anime porn.
I mean, some, yeah. That's probably the biggest subgenre.
Really?
No shit.
I don't know. I'm just talking shit, but I don't know.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised though. And the thing is too, what I've found over the years is like people who are like into it and whatever their subgenre may be, they're like diehard fans about it. They get fucking angry and passionate having conversations with other anime fans who like a different subgenre. Like it's the people who are fans of it, they are deeply, deeply invested.
Is that a gang
fight? Exactly. I mean, not dissimilar to battle rap, you know what I mean? So that aspect of it, I was at least prepared for in terms of the very passionate fan reaction in both the positive and negative direction.
So wait, I have a super anime question that I never thought this would come out of my mouth. I was kind of busting your balls when I said I'd never watch it. I do actually like to see things I've never seen. My thing with anime has always been, I think it's very interesting because it is such an established like subculture, like you guys were literally just saying. But what happens for me is that I don't understand anything I'm seeing. So to even just watch it, to be like, is this well done? Is this neat? Is this entertaining? Like if I were to watch yours, give me like a 10-second summary of like some idea of what I might be looking at in a first episode.
So the thing about Yasuke is it's about a real historical figure who existed, this man from Africa who came to Japan and ended up entering the service of Oda Nobunaga, one of the samurai lords, and he became a samurai himself. So he's a real African samurai who existed. So it's playing off of history, but the show is set in a fantasy world where magic exists. There are giant mechs running around. And Yasuke, as an old retired samurai, has to deal with, I won't give away too much, but has to deal with magical powers and various foes from his past returning.
Was this the first thing that you ever wrote that was not real characters, like animation?
Let me think. Yeah, it was because I've written on a few other animated shows actually since then. But yeah, it was the first one that I did.
what was a big difference between, you know, something like Bodied, where there's real people, compared to this? Or is this what you've been gunning for the whole time?
Not really, man. Like, honestly, even with screenwriting itself, like when I was contacted by Joseph Kahn and that ended up resulting in the film Bodied, even that, like, I wasn't planning on being a screenwriter. I wanted to be a writer in terms of writing novels, short stories, that kind of thing. So that's always what I've been working towards. But of course, when the opportunity comes, I at the end of the day care more about telling the story than the format. I was certainly never like, oh, I don't want to write a movie. You know, if the opportunity comes, of course I'm going to do it. So I sort of had a similar view on this. It's like, it's not that I was trying to get into writing anime, but I've always liked the genre. So if the opportunity comes, of course I'm going to do my best to take advantage of it.
But the possibilities are different though, right? Because when you're writing for people can only do certain things, and your budget will only allow certain visual effects or special effects, right? I imagine with anime, your imagination runs free, right?
No, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So that was really exciting. And also it's, I found it to be a challenge because I found myself thinking, as we were going through sort of the early stages of writing the outlines that would then become the scripts, at every point I was thinking like, okay, how can I make this crazier? How can I do something that's like, I can write literally anything. So how can I do something that's going to be the most visually dramatic and interesting thing possible, since there are literally infinite options?
I'd say you got something like that, because after watching that first episode, my mind was blown.
Well, there you go. So I appreciate that.
So do you have any role in like casting the voice actors?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Do you do any of them?
No, I mean, my only acting experience thus far, which is a hilarious single IMDb credit to have, is Man in Bathroom, which was my cameo in Bodied. So I'm planning
the best one to have.
I want to keep that single IMDb credit, you know.
So spoiler alert, when we go to close the show later, I'm going to pretend like I never said this, and I'm going to badger you for an off the top anime freestyle close.
Oh, fuck.
Oh man. All right.
Anyway.
Yeah, does that lead to the story, Amy? Because he can appreciate this one.
Oh, I'm sure you'll fit it in anywhere you can. So
but
like a good time.
I love telling this story because it's like the worst person you could pick. In 2000,
and he didn't think I would do it. Let's preface it by he didn't think I would do it.
2011, I think it was. Amy and I covered combat sports for almost a decade, like on the highest level, UFC champions, boxers, all that shit, celebrity fans, whatever. So there's a correlation between battle rap and MMA, combat sports, and I set up for Organic to be on her show because I wasn't doing podcasts at the time. I was just a writer. And I set it up, and Amy dropped the bomb on Organic out of nowhere to drop a freestyle for her. That got shut down harder than fucking anything. It's just like, nah, no. I took flack for that for like the next 8 years. Were you the guy that set up the battle rapper guy that doesn't freestyle? I was like, that's like asking Dana White to fight. It's a different thing.
That's the thing, honestly. Like, once you reach, look, when we're kids and stuff, we're teenagers and whatever, we're always looking for a chance to rap. Once you have a certain reputation, it just there's so much pressure on you, and to make up something off the top of your head, there's like a 50-50 chance it's going to be whack, even if you like Organic are literally one of the best in the world. So it's not
no ask, no get.
That is true.
Last year, one of the times we had Sharon on, friggin' she dropped the bomb on Sharon of all people. I think he just freestyles 24 hours a day. Right. He said no.
Oh, really? That's funny.
And I've been friends with Sharon for years. We used to host a show together.
He said he's coming through, but
if it's video, he'll come through. He said he'll do it.
Right.
But
well, don't get any ideas, Alex. Third time's a charm here. All right.
Yeah. But so with I keep fucking up. Yasuke.
Yeah, you got it.
Yasuke.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. All right. So when the Netflix deal came together, like obviously when you first started hearing rumblings of it and everything else, how much of a long shot did you think that was? Because like it's fucking Netflix. It's massive.
Yeah, I mean, I had the approach that I've kind of had with everything, which is like, if it doesn't happen, then it's not like I had a huge build up towards this. You know what I mean? It's something that was just kind of offered to me that I'm like, yeah, of course I'm going to go for it. So I knew how cool it would be if it did happen. And I just, I put everything I had into putting together that little sample. And it all worked out in my favor, you know? So I honestly, man, the last few years for me with this screenwriting career, or I mean, I guess I can call it a career at this point. It has been a few years. It's just been a roller coaster. So I honestly don't even have a lot of time to just sit back and think about things like that, because it's just like so much has been coming at me. So I'm just just doing the best I can, putting as much thought and effort into everything as I can. And so far, the results have worked out really well. So honestly, it's all a bit surreal to me.
I was just going to ask that, actually. You know, like, it's okay, good. It's on Netflix. Everything's finalized. The show's done. We have a release date. Everything else.
Also hit some good numbers too, right?
Yeah. What are the nerves like before the release, and then what's the relief like after it's done well on Netflix?
Oh man, yeah, it was a huge relief, and it was such an interesting experience because not only was it not like with Bodied, it was such an event, right? Because we're going to film festivals, we're there in person, we're like doing Q&As after the screenings. With this, it was like it just comes out on my TV in my house one day. Plus there's been a global pandemic, so I haven't left my house in a year. So it's like I've just been sitting in my house waiting for this, and then it just appears on my screen one day. It's very bizarre.
Well, wait, I have a question about the fans. Like, obviously the battle rap crowd is like, oh, Kid Twist is, doing this thing. Have you seen much crossover from anime fans that look far enough into creators that you've started getting a following from that?
No, I haven't, which I'm actually kind of happy about, because I was, Flying Lotus, the show was directed by LaShawn Thomas, who was the guy, who brought the original vision for this to Netflix, and then Flylo got brought on shortly afterwards. But LaShawn is not on social media at all. So Flylo is by far, I mean, other than Lakeith, I guess, but Lakeith is kind of in a different stratosphere, right? Because he's only on the acting side. So in terms of the creators of the show, Flying Lotus is by far the most visible person, and he's been getting a ton of shit on social media. People who have a very passionate negative reaction. In a way, you want that, because if you don't get it, it means no one cares about your show, and it's inevitable. Anything that's popular is going to have a strong negative reaction too these days. But I'm just glad they haven't found my Twitter. That's all.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because like checking out the first episode and seeing what it's about and everything, I was like, because I thought it was Yasuke, and I was like, oh, I better go check this out. So I went to YouTube and I typed in the reviews for it, and one of the actual videos is called "Why Yasuke Sucks." Oh yeah,
so yeah. Like, I've seen those titles. I'm like, I'm not gonna click that.
No, you don't need that negative energy.
That's been out there. Yeah,
that has to be present in terms of people just simply being jealous.
Yeah, right. When something's that big, it's gonna happen like that.
Two people not understanding, but the main point is it got out there, right?
No, exactly. And honestly, the main negative thing that I've seen is just people being upset that we didn't follow the history more closely, which is kind of interesting, because on one hand, actually not that much is really known about the history. It's more so, accepted stories or things that historians think might have happened, but there aren't that many details about the real Yasuke's life. But I understand what people are saying in terms of they wanted it to be more of a samurai-based show, not incorporating these magic powers and mutants and shapeshifters and mechs. But that's just a different show than what we made. You know what I mean? So if your only complaint is I wanted you to make a different show than the one you did make, then I'm okay with that, because well, we didn't do that. So
yeah. So are you a comment reader? Like, I mean, obviously on Twitter you can't, like, your mentions, but like, do you get on Reddit? Do you read YouTube comments? Do you read?
No, I physically restrain myself from doing that. Like, and battle rap has been great training over the years, because I'll pull up one of my battles on YouTube to show someone or whatever, and I just, like, in my head I'm just like, it's like I've trained myself almost like Zen meditation, like, do not scroll down, like, whatever's down there, you don't want to see it.
yeah that's the energy you definitely don't need in your life. And it's funny too, like the bigger people get, like the more famous, more popularity they get, whatever, unless they're, like a Jake Paul just living off the negativity
Right.
and exploiting it, it's just not good for your fucking mental health.
No, exactly.
It's going to wear on you sooner or later. How long was the process of completing this?
It was quite long, to be honest. I mean, my part not so long with the actual writing of it. Maybe I think in total we were working on it maybe 6 months or something like that. But a lot of that was sort of like going back and forth and figuring out exactly how we were going to break down the story and stuff like that before we got into the actual script writing. But we wrote this in late 2018, early 2019. So from that point on, it was a 2-year process of animation, and a lot of that is not even before you get to the animation, it's the character design and the environment design. And then it's, storyboarding. Like
I was going to say, it's got to be a ton of research, right?
I don't know about. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. So there's so many steps in the process, and the studio that did it, Mappa, is one of the top anime studios in Japan right now. So it was actually a big deal at the time. Like even when I was first talking about it with the team and with the people at Netflix, they were like, it's a really big deal that we have this studio. They just sort of happened to have this window where they could fit it into their production schedule. So they were like, all right, we need to make this happen. We need to, get you guys in as writers and get these scripts going because we have this window with Mappa and we really want to take advantage of it.
Huh. So what's that like? Meeting with the Netflix execs? Are they like young fucking like hipster type people? Like, are they like?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I would call them hipsters. Who am I? Who am I as Kid Twist calling myself a hipster? But yeah, they're young. They're probably maybe around my age or within a few years or something. So they definitely get it.
So they get it, yeah.
Yeah, and it was a cool experience because there's me, the random white Canadian, and the rest of the creative team. Nick Jones, who was the other writer, who was the head writer. He he's a Black American who served in the military. Then you have Flying Lotus, so you have a famous hip hop producer. You have LaShawn Thomas, who is a Black animator who's been doing a ton of work in the industry for a long time. Then on the Netflix side, the execs who were working with were Black and Asian, and then some people from their Japan team, so like Japanese people in Japan. So it was such an international and diverse team, and it made me feel comfortable as like, okay, I'm not coming in as the white dude to write this animation. Yeah. And I felt like, I have complete trust in the people that I'm working with, and I can focus on my part of it in writing these episodes as well as I can. But, the historical grounding, the cultural grounding is all there.
Was there a lot of rewrites for you? Like, did you have to keep changing things up? Because
yeah, for sure. I mean, that's always part of the process. I mean, I think on this one, it was about, I think we maybe did 4 or 5 drafts on average per episode, which is pretty normal. I mean, honestly, I often do like 7 or 8 even. So it's, it's always part of the thing. As one of my creative writing professors once said, writing is rewriting.
Yes, I can tell you from being a writer that wrote like feature spots with interviews, like, phone interviews, we get quotes and then turn it into a feature, stuff like that for years. That's exactly it. Writing is rewriting. And as so many, what's another one? I forget who the hell said it. Write drunk, edit sober. That's another one. Early on, it was like, I was like, because when I'd be writing the story, was so inexperienced. I'm like, well, I don't want to piss off the fighter. I don't want to say anything bad about this and change the, and then every once in a while it's like, let's have a few drinks and just write this thing out and see how it goes. Next day I wake up, I'm like, this is pretty fucking good. Just to make some edits.
There you go.
That proved true for me early on in my career. But it's funny, like a lot of those sayings from writers from back in the day, they do prove true.
No, absolutely. I mean, honestly, I think one of the things for me as a writer that I could perhaps improve on is a lot of other writers say, like, just get the first draft out, just get kind of like what you're saying, just get the first draft out and then you have something to work with, even if it's not great, it's there and you can improve it. For me, I maybe spend a little too much time on my first drafts. The funny thing being that I'm going to do 5 drafts anyway. So maybe it would be a better use of my time to get through the first one more quickly. But I feel like if I'm putting something down on the page, I want it to at least be something that, if someone said this line in the scene or got in the vocal booth and recorded this line, I wouldn't be embarrassed by it. That's always in the back of my head.
Were you the same way with battling? Like rewrite?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I definitely did. Although I will say, the game has even, I did my sort of last run in 2015 there. So definitely the game changed a lot from when I had battled before that to 2015, but it's still changed even more to this day. And I think people are like, it's just built up to such a bigger level that you have to put so much more time into the writing than I ever did. You know what I mean? First of all, I was just writing way less because I was doing at most 2-minute rounds. But also it was just like, I'd spend my time. I make sure I at least like thought every line was good, but I certainly wasn't putting in the effort that these guys are, which is a big part. I mean, first of all, the talent level right now is phenomenal. And second of all, you can tell that the amount of effort going into these verses is just absolutely so far beyond what it was in my day.
Are you still watching? Do you still like watch quite a bit of battle rap as a
fan?
fan?
Absolutely. I mean, I can't honestly, dude, it's just so hard to actually feel like you're keeping up with it because there's so much coming out nowadays. But certainly, all the big ones I watched the whole KOTD Grand Prix last year, which was absolutely incredible. I catch as much of the URL stuff on Caffeine as I can. I try to at least stay abreast of what's happening, and I still love it as an art form. But yeah, it is hard to catch every single thing because there's just too much.
Yeah, there's way too much. It's a good thing and a bad thing, I think. It's just, I find like actually like the UFC, where the UFC is growing so much. Back in the day, it's just like the cards you'd be on back in the day. You know what I mean? You could be on a card. It's like you, Knamelis, Solicon, Sharon, Pat Stay, Holohan, Cortez. You know what I mean? It's just all heavyweight hitters.
Yep.
Nowadays, it's like, and I'm not knocking any of these guys, right? You got to start somewhere, and there's a bigger pool. So you can watch a guy earlier on like an iBattle card, right? That person might grow into be something amazing. Real Seek is someone who's grown into be something amazing. But,
yeah, dude, absolutely. Yeah, he's one of my favorites who's come out recently. Probably one of my favorites overall right now, actually, I'd say.
He is insane, man. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like they have to grow somewhere, and the pool is bigger. It's so hard to keep an eye on all of them coming up now because there's so many more events, so many more leagues.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, the Grand Prix, that was absolutely insane. And what a difference from the Grand Prix back in the day. I mean, well, first of all,
no kidding.
But the caliber of talent is just like, shit, we've grown. Yeah,
that's right. No, exactly. You can't do anything but respect the progress.
But before we get too far away from movies, Bodied, which has came up a few times. Holy shit. So you wrote that with intentions in it being a novel. Is that correct?
No. So what happened is I had been working on it like just a novel, something completely different. While I was sort of, battling in like 2009 to 2012 kind of thing. Yeah. But I'd kind of shelved that project. Like I knew I wanted to be a writer, but I felt like that I did actually finish it. I have a complete draft of it, but I was like, this isn't really the direction that I want to go as a writer. So I'd just been writing some short stories and stuff like that and trying to figure out what I really had to say, I guess, in my writing. And then got this opportunity just from Joseph contacting me on Twitter and wanting to work on a screenplay, and then deciding like, hey, I know of you because of battle rap. Why not write a battle rap screenplay? And that's how Bodied came about.
Holy shit.
So how independent was it in terms of like, where did the budget come from? Because it still had to cost some money, right?
Yeah, it was, Joseph makes good money doing his music video and commercial work. So he is, I think, honestly, I don't think any other film director does this, but he put up the money out of his own pocket. So it was like the most independent anything can ever be.
Wow.
How much do you remember, or do you mind me asking?
I don't know the final budget, but it was over $1 million for sure.
Oh shit, eh?
Yeah, I mean that's not surprising.
That's what I mean. It is a good movie. Like I watched it. It's not you know what I mean. It's not a couple of teenagers shooting it on an iPhone, right? So
right.
It's a legit movie and it's good. That's why I was wondering, right?
No, but that's hella surprising for being self-funded.
Yes.
No, yeah, that's the thing. And what I discovered about film production is actually the thing that can really cost the most money. I mean, obviously equipment is a big part of it, but a lot of people, if you're professional in the industry, you probably have at least some of your own equipment that you can be using, right? But the big thing that costs a lot of money is extras. So that's why it's so hard to make a movie like about, battle rap or anything where you need crowd shots, because you're paying those people a lot of money to be there every day, those extras.
Really, people weren't up for the hype to be in a battle rap movie.
Well, that's the thing. You're not allowed to do that because we shot it in LA, so it's all unionized, right? So you have to follow union rules. You can't just throw random people in the background. They have to be paid actors.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Yeah, because I remember the 8 Mile, the behind the scenes shit, like the extra bonus stuff on the DVD at the shelter scenes, or like the battle rap scenes. It was supposed to be like montages. They even show M battled Marv 1 and 3 other people, a chick and 2 other guys. But yeah, it was just like extras from like around the way, and they just got them. Yo, show up, Eminem's here. So that's because of like a Los Angeles or like California union.
I think a lot of it. Honestly, I don't know all the rules about this stuff, but yeah, a lot of it may be that, because I think they actually shot 8 Mile on location in Detroit, right?
Yeah.
So Detroit probably lets you do whatever. But but because it was shot in LA, and it was all union in terms of the actors, so we had to follow union regulations to a T.
Yeah, and I would assume that would be just like a construction laborers union, right? You can be a laborer in a construction union, make like $22 an hour to hold a fucking sign that says stop and slow.
Right. Yeah, and honestly, I think the background actors are making a lot more than that. So yeah.
Holy shit, eh? What about the? I mean, I know you're not the person doing payroll for everything, but the like the battlers that were featured throughout it, even the ones like Head Ice or Aaron Solomon, who just like played cameos in it, was that like a thing as far as your knowledge, where they had like an asking price, or was it just like they were happy?
I don't know, man. Honestly, I'm not privy to all that.
Yeah.
But it was definitely something that everyone was doing out of passion. I don't want to.
Yeah, I get it.
Too hard on this point. I'm just kind of joking about the background actors thing. But yeah, everyone was kind of coming together to make it happen.
Yeah.
Was it frustrating for you though, or for I guess anybody, but you or anybody you knew, that you knew what went into this and you knew how good it could be, and you knew like literally all the background stuff, that like so much of the early promotion had to have Eminem's name attached to it, even though there was like no Eminem thing in it?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was definitely the angle that they went with. And I mean, look, it was obviously just like an absolute honor for him to want to attach his name to it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And want to be involved. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the marketing aspect of it, one thing that I noticed is that it maybe painted a different picture of what the movie was, and maybe colored the expectations that people had going in. I mean, I don't know, honestly, but yeah, it's like anything. The way that something is presented always has positive and negative aspects. You can never really fully correctly set people's expectations, right? Like any movie, you watch the trailer, you go in, it's like a 50-50 shot whether it's going to seem anything like the trailer by the time you're done.
I remember when I was doing Rear Naked Choke Radio and MMA or combat sports show, had Sharon on the one time because he's such a big combat sports fan, so I'd have him on multiple times, right, just to talk shit, whatever. And he was the first one that told me, he's like, I got some breaking news right now. I don't know if it's supposed to be out there, but I guess Pat tweeted something or said something on Facebook about it, Pat Stay, and Sharon was like, so I can say that I'm going to be in a battle rap movie. And Amazing. I was like, what? And I was like, what? What are you talking about? He's like, that's all I can really say right now. He's like, when I'm done, I'm going to, when we're off the air, I'm going to text you who wrote this movie. And I'm like, okay. I'm in my head, I'm thinking, who the fuck, not even thinking it's a battle rapper. And he was like, Kid Twist. I was like, get the fuck out of here. You
Steven
serious?
Spielberg.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of who the fuck, what the fuck? This is so crazy. So how, I know I can already tell from talking, you're not the type of person who's going to take all the credit for everything, but how much did you have to do with that movie overall, besides just like the screenplay or screenwriting, whatever? Like did you have to give any advice, even though Joseph Kahn is a huge battle rap fan, like
Casting is
casting stuff, or like
not really, to be honest with you. Like the screenplay was really just my part of it. I did a lot of the other stuff was I don't want to say out of my hands. That makes it seem like I was, totally separate from the process, but it definitely was not. Everyone has their job. You know what I mean? It's a production. Everyone's there for a reason. Everyone's a professional. And so everyone had their piece, and I of course didn't want to overstep my bounds or anything.
No,
I was there to play
no
my role.
Movie, so
well, yes, that's definitely a part of it. Yeah. So I don't want to take. All I'm saying is I don't want to take too much credit. There was so many people who put so much hard work into that.
And were you on set for most of the filming?
For most of it, yeah. Not for all of the scenes that they shot, because I still had like a full-time day job at this point, right? So I could only take so much time off. But I was there for all of the battle scenes.
Oh shit! Because that's actually where I was gonna go. What battle scenes were you there for?
Yeah, so I was there for all of those. So I was working with, I was working with all the actors who rapped in the movie. But it was so fortunate to have so many battlers around, because they, all the actors were kind of taking advantage of that to talk to the different battlers who were on set and get advice and tips on how to deliver certain lines and stuff like that. So that was really cool for them. And I worked in particular with, Caleb Worthy, who played Adam, obviously because he was the most similar to my style, right? So that's where I can be most helpful. And yeah, man, honestly, that dude is like one of my best friends to this day. So it's pretty a hilarious comment on my own narcissism that he got asked to play essentially me in a movie and ended up being one of my best friends. But
like how many? I guess this is a two-part question. How many moments during the filming of the battle scenes did you find yourself going, damn, I wish I'd have thought of that 10 years ago? And B, how much, if any, was ad-libbed? Like, I'm sure with the particular guys that were involved, there had to have been some off-the-top shit that got kept.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was so everyone... I mean, I wrote stuff in the screenplay for all the parts just so we had something there. But everyone you see in the movie who is a rapper, other than the guys who just have like the 2-line cameo roles, because they're obviously like just playing comedy characters. But anyone who's really rapping in the movie wrote their own material, because it's like we have the best battlers in the world. Obviously, we want to take advantage of that, right? So they were, but I mean, it's not ad-libbed in that sense. They were writing their stuff ahead of time. And they sort of knew like what emotional beats they had to hit for that scene, sort of like what the nature of the content had to be. But yeah, they were writing their own stuff. But honestly, the thing I'll say in terms of, writing the rap verses is my favorite part of that was working with Dumbfounded. Because since he's in LA, when I was there for production, I just like went to his apartment a couple days and we just sat and wrote the stuff that he says to Adam, his character says to Adam, and then the stuff that his character says to Divine, which is, dissing her as though she were Asian. So basically bars that apply to him. So we essentially rewrote both sides of our own battle collaboratively.
Wow. Were there any moments, and if so, like you don't have to put anybody in particular on blast, but with all of them writing their own material, were there moments where the second it happened, you were like, yeah, that's going to get cut. We can't use that.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. The only thing was just honestly, I think the stuff Disaster said in that movie is like some of my favorite Disaster bars. You know what I mean? But he had so much, like we knew it was going to get cut down just because he was rapping for 10 minutes. You know what I mean?
Imagine that.
Oh, shit.
But also that, the editing sort of produced like, maximum potency Disaster, right? Because it's like, it's all distilled to these quick clips.
Did you have any concerns about the Ben Grimes and Adam, finding real actors that can play it off as real battle rappers? Because they fucking spit some bars in that shit. They did a good job portraying a battle rapper, their delivery, everything else. Like, they really played the character well. Did you have concerns about that? Because right away, I was like, "Oh fuck! Oh no! How is this gonna go?" But what did you have concerns about that? What were your thoughts?
I mean, of course, honestly, of course.
I figured.
Like I said, the whole thing over the past few years has just been a roller coaster for me. So it's all kind of surreal to reflect back on. So it's hard to any sort of like tangible thought or emotion about any of this like that is sort of hard to isolate in my memories. But I definitely remember that being a huge concern during the casting process. And, there was a casting director, Judy Cook, who did an amazing job, and Joseph. And I think it was actually Adi Shankar, one of the producers who I still work with a lot to this day. He was the one who I think suggested Calum for the role because he'd worked with him on something else. So when we finally found Calum, and it was like, this guy maybe could actually play the part. Like there were not a lot of options, to be honest with you. So it was kind of a miracle that we found him. And for the Ben Grimm role as well, like I think they found Jackie like earlier on in the process, but it was also like, it's hard to find someone who has that right gravitas, you know what I mean? Because people's idea of what battle rap is not what it truly is. You have to have that commanding presence that even for screen actors, they may not have that that specific skill set to seem like they're a live performer. You know what I mean?
So you just a minute ago were saying, oh, and how cool that we ended up being such great friends, blah, blah. And that's really dope. You made a comment as we were kind of laughing over the end of what you said about the guy that's playing me. Was that like because we're the same type of person in these situations?
Yeah.
Or is this loosely written on you?
Yeah, no, I'm being totally facetious. It's just because it's like also a skinny white guy.
Right. I was like, wow, I never knew that. Holy shit, Alex.
My family wasn't rich. My dad isn't a professor.
Your friend's not a cut.
I've never dated anyone exactly like his girlfriend, although there's some people in my past that certain aspects are loosely based on. But it's and certainly the experience that he has, and obviously the way he conducts himself, I hope is not the way that I conduct myself in real life.
Well, so I was like, oh, Eminem was all like, oh, 8 Mile's not about me, but I mean 8 Mile was about him. So then I was like, holy shit, wait, was he kidding?
8 Mile is definitely way more about Eminem than Bodied is about me. At least I certainly hope so.
Sure.
Kirill, you were wondering something about Donnie Narco.
No, we were talking about casting. I was just wondering how come Lush didn't make it, and you said you don't know too much about casting, right?
Yeah, but man. Honestly, I feel like I don't know everything that went down there. I mean, everyone knows what I had in mind when I wrote that, obviously. So it was a bit of a surprise to me too. But yeah, I don't really know everything that was happening with that situation, so I can't really comment on it too much.
And that's one of the things too, from people who've been around the scene for a very long time. I mean, like in the scene, they say like there are so many little hidden gems in there, and there's some of them that I definitely get it from being a fan for so long. But being like involved in it, like an actual battler or a league owner or whatever it may be from over the years, there's little nuggets in there for them that only a select few people know. Like,
but even though it's not, I was just gonna say, even though it wasn't Lush, I was surprised by Charlemagne, but I was there for it.
Right. Yeah. That was also a casting that surprised me, but I was like, shit, this worked well,
What are like some of those little nuggets that you put in there that are like, lesser known that you really appreciate, you get a kick out of, like when the movie was out, another battle rapper that knows about the same thing texted you or whatever, was like, oh my God, I can't believe you put that in there. Like what?
Let's see. So, so one of them is, and this might be something, this maybe is just more like pertaining to myself, I don't know, but because this is not like a known thing or something, it's based off a range.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would like, but or the lesser known.
Okay,
only a select few.
This is perfect then. So there was there was something that Dumbfounded's character Prospect says to Adam right after their battle, where they're talking about how he used all Asian jokes on him.
Yeah.
And Prospect goes, "Shit, at least you knew I was Korean."
Yeah.
That came from just a comment on my battle that I always liked, that was made by the famous battle rap Chris Mitchell.
Oh shit!
Who he did a little write up on me versus Dumbfounded. I can't remember. It was on like a Reddit post or something, but it was sort of like a retrospective on the battle, like years after it happened, and sort of commenting on the fact that it's like, yeah, obviously I went like hard, maybe way too hard on the Asian jokes there. But he was like, well, at least Twist knew he was Korean.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for, because I didn't even know that. I had no idea about that.
There you go. So shout out Chris. I don't know if Chris even knows that. So yeah.
That's hilarious. That is amazing. So I guess, Amy, you got any more Bodied questions?
I don't really. I mean, I could ask you questions all day about being on set, but that's just
me too.
I have one quick question in terms of, I don't know if you know about this, but the way it was shot seems different. It seems like it's shot more of almost like a comic or a music video. You know what I mean? It doesn't have that regular movie feel. Do you know anything about that? Was that done on purpose?
I mean, well, Joseph Kahn, the director, he's honestly probably the biggest music video director of all time at this point. So, he comes from that world. If you look at Body, you look at his previous films, Detention and Torque, like he certainly brings that eye to things. So, definitely.
I like it. I thought it was cool.
Work unique. Yeah.
What if somebody hit you with hey, there's all these new things, and there's the caffeine, and there's the Twitch, and Body did so well, and now this dude's got a foot in at Netflix. What if we did like a series of shorts that were battle rap related? Like, would you see something like that happening or being successful, or would you want to be involved?
For sure. No, yeah. I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet. And what I will say, because this is a criticism that we received for Body, which I think makes a lot of sense, and I totally agree with. But it's another battle rap movie about a white guy, you know what I mean? And I tried to at least write it in a way where it's specifically critiquing these types of white liberals who, I'm around for a lot of my life, who get involved in these things and think they know and understand way more than they actually do, and the consequences that come from that. But I mean, it is kind of a shame though. And, it's very necessary that we get a battle rap movie or TV show where it's looking at a Black protagonist and it's looking at the experiences of, someone who represents by far the majority of people who participate in battle rap, and done by Black directors and writers, ideally. So, if it's something that I can help facilitate, I would love to do that. I'm not quite at that level yet. So maybe by the time I get there, that movie or show will have already happened. Because I mean, it's there. I'm really surprised no one's seen the potential and done this yet. But if it hasn't happened and I get to the point in my career where I can help make it happen, obviously I wouldn't be involved creatively. But yeah, that's something I want to see. It's something I know everyone in the culture really wants to see. So if I can help make it happen one day, of course, I'd love to.
And just to clarify, not like a reality show, like competition.
No, of course. Yeah. No, there's so much potential there because there's so many incredible writers in the battle circuit. You know what I mean? So you want your writer's room, just pick your top 5 current pens, right? There's your writer's room. Right. So there's so much potential there, and it absolutely has to happen one day. So, if there's anything I can do to help, then I will for sure.
Who do you think the best writer is in the history of battle rap?
The best writer in that is a loaded question. Loaded question, loaded Lux would be my answer. So there you go.
Wow.
Bars, and I did not intend them to be.
I actually thought you were going to say Bender.
I mean, honestly, he's my personal favorite. You know what I mean? Like what he does is just. I actually think of Bender in almost a totally different category than all other battle rappers, even in what he did in battle rap. He just took the art to a place where he was doing something that was his own art form. He wasn't battling in the same way the rest of us were battling. He was creating a type of art that was truly unique to him. Like I really believe that. And so I almost place him in like a totally different category altogether.
Would it be easier to ask who you think the best current writer is rather than of all time?
Not really, because there's just so many now. It almost makes it easier to say all time, because then you have to consider longevity. So there's fewer people in the conversation. Yeah, I don't know. There's like it's there's so much talent there, and you have people like like Chilla Jones, for instance, who like has been great for years, but the past year or so has just somehow elevated even more. And yeah, so it's there's really no telling. I think the thing about battle rap is once you get to a certain level, anyone can beat anyone else on any given day. People sort of act like there are these set in stone rankings of this guy's above that guy and whatever because he beat this other guy. It's like anyone can beat anyone. Once you're at the top tier, so to speak. It's really more about the performances and appreciating the level of talent and artistry.
Yeah, well, we saw that a few times throughout the Grand Prix last year. Like that's an any given Sunday thing. Mm-hmm. Literally, it was absolutely. On Sundays.
Yeah, absolutely.
Times took a Real Deal in the first round. Like that was a crazy one.
Yeah, and it's not like Real Deal was slacking. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He had a great performance too. So
Is there anyone that you see like current day? If we're not going to talk about best pens, is there anyone currently, like you've kind of got the older school, which I would obviously put you into, and then the guys now, especially talking about the Grand Prix, like these smaller leagues, the Grand Prix, that you're seeing all this talent coming up now. Are there certain people you see yourself in? And like, I specifically think of that because of things that are maybe not so new, but Sharon's like, look at me when I'm killing you. Mm-hmm, I was like, oh, like shuffle. Wait a minute. That's not new. Like you have moments like that where you see yourself.
But see, that was me. He actually came up with it. I was referencing him when I said that.
Right, yeah. But I'm saying like everything's recycled. So, like,
yeah. No, it's all
totally. These newer guys.
Yeah, it's all kind of like inside references and stuff like that. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's
not everything's recycled.
I think I think there's kind of sort of a crop of battlers who I'd like to think I helped influence. And I mean, some of them have said so to me, so I always appreciate that and. And consider that to be an honor anytime someone would say that. But Carter Deems, Shuffle T, Frack, Dunch, those are the ones that really come to mind as like in my mind they're doing like levels beyond what I did. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like because I had a certain take on using the type of person that I am, the type of presence that I have, and delivering a certain kind of material that would work for that. And they've sort of figured out ways, and all very different ways, to do that same sort of thing, but adapt it to the current climate where they can compete at the top levels, which if I came back doing the same thing I was doing in 2009 or even 2015, I wouldn't be competing at the top levels right now. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So they found a way to like just take it beyond what I was doing. And I feel like, obviously there are similarities there. And if I did have any hand in helping influence any of those guys, then, that's something I feel good about for sure.
And before I get any snarky tweets, I shouldn't have said everything is recycled, but y'all know what I mean. Twitter will say something.
There's a lot for sure. But I mean, that's also part of the game. And that's what kind of makes it rewarding to be a dedicated viewer is you catch all these little things. You know what I mean? It's almost like, being a Marvel fan watching MCU movies and you're catching all the little references, it becomes like that. The more you watch, the more rewarding it is.
Throughout the Grand Prix, we saw judges from basically all eras of battle rap. They went every which way with it. They used bloggers who weren't battlers, retired battlers, so to speak, whatever it may be. Is that something that you would ever consider judging in one of those things?
Hell no.
I don't blame you.
They asked me. Organic asked me.
Really?
Yeah. I turned him down because the thing is, and I said this to him, there had been a while, like, you know, I've been trying to keep up to date more recently, but there'd been a while before that where I hadn't had the opportunity to be watching battles the way I used to, just because, you know, my time was going in so many different directions. And so I was like, dude, man, I'd love to, but it's like what we're talking about with the inside references. I'm like, I'm not catching a lot of these bars because I'm not up on all the things they're talking about anymore. So I'm like, I don't want to screw someone out of money because I didn't catch a reference, you know?
Well, if you were to put battlers in there to judge, though, like for me, it'd be like Ilmac, Thesaurus, Nameless. And if you're going to turn it down, then I don't know who else it would be. But like, who would you, if you were picking battlers to be judges, who would you pick?
If I was picking battlers?
To be judges, yes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the names you mentioned are great ones. I mean, Shoddy Hora did a great job, I thought, as a judge.
He was hilarious.
He was also really funny in his breakdowns. But honestly, I kind of liked the approach that they had. Look, there's always going to be judging controversies, but I think having a mix of like battlers, especially battlers who maybe like are from a different generation or not as active anymore, so there, you know, there's less possible accusations of bias, and then mix them in with, like, you know, if you have a guy like Arp in there, that's amazing, he did a great job. You know, and some of the well-respected bloggers did a great job. So, you know, I think it's good to have a mix like that, because you're getting opinions from different areas of the culture, and that's all you can really do if you're king of the dot, right? Just try and have as well balanced the judging panel as possible, and you know people are going to complain about every decision regardless. So
I was going to say, and it still doesn't matter. So here we are.
Yeah.
It is a timely thing when judge proves himself, you know what I mean? And you see a certain judge at a roster of judges, and you know that this guy's been through a few things that he judged, and he's proven himself to be pretty logical, and you know what I mean? That's when people can't really say anything, right? But it takes time to build that too, right?
That's true. And I mean, part of the issue too is in this era, it's been so long since judge battles were as prominent as they've now become again, that we just haven't had the time to like build up respected judging panels again, you know?
Yeah. From watching the Grand Prix, obviously there was controversy with some of the judge decisions. Is there any of the battles that you can remember where you think like it went the other way? Not even necessarily robbery, but
Frack versus Disaster is the big one. Anything besides Frack versus Disaster, I thought was debatable. That was the one where I was like, I think they made the wrong call on that one. But shout out to Disaster, because honestly, his performances, and it's not even like he did poorly in that battle, but I just thought Frack did so amazingly well. But Disaster had he had like a crazy run through the Grand Prix, just nothing but,
somebody
nothing
said
but
that good line that Disaster was the only one who was beating everybody by losing.
Yeah.
Right.
But,
you always get that stuff, but that's part of the fun of judge battles, is you can have you get to use little lines like that again.
Yeah, so you disagree then with people that say if you take the graph out of that second round or whatever it was, that Frack still handily won?
Do I agree if he won without the graph?
Like, that's the one argument, is people are like, if you take that moment away, you can't say that he won that handily.
Well, I mean, look, man, if Caesar never crossed the Rubicon, he wouldn't have ruled Rome either. Like, so what are we talking about here?
Exactly.
And I would also think that the graph would help you win the round, not the battle.
It was the biggest moment in the battle. And at first watching it live, I was like, oh my God, that's robbery. That's robbery. And then from talking to so many people that were actually in the room, and they're like, it's Disaster's energy. It's this, it's that. I'm like, yeah, I've been to a lot of KOTD's events. I get that. I've seen Diz perform live lots of times. That is a captivating energy that he brings to it.
100%.
Right.
Like, let me say this. I've seen him perform live many times, and his live is a completely different animal. It's impossible to not get swept up in his energy. 100%.
Right. So being in the room and judging at that moment, it's like, yeah, Frack had a moment, but Diz is just full of moments, right? So I don't know. I want to see it again. I want to see it again, because at first I was like, but it's the same as any battle that you see live and then you watch on YouTube. How many times has your mind switched? At live, you thought it was one guy. then you watch it back, you're like, oh no, I think I was wrong the first time.
Oh yeah, like the other thing too is, these battles are online forever. You can also watch it years later and be like, no, actually in retrospect, this guy won.
Uh-huh.
That's the thing about judging on the spot, right? If they decided to pick it, if they decided the style where the judges judge on the spot right after the battle, that moment is what you're looking for, right? That moment would be marking you up real high, right?
Yeah, no, that's the thing. That's, you have
But
to
like I
take
said,
that into consideration with your material, that when it's going to be judged on the spot.
I mean, I haven't seen the battle again, but I think that, like I said, the graph moment would win you a round. I don't think it would get you all three.
Yeah, but
you know what that would win you? That would win you at a crowd. Like, that is a moment I wish had happened in a big room.
Oh yeah!
Oh God, yes.
Man, that would have been wild. That would have been, honestly, Frack might not have survived with how much he would have been pushed around following that moment.
Oh man, and a lot came out of that for Frack too. He parlayed that into a lot. Like he got a lot of attention off that, and it worked out well for him. Like Kirill, you even said before that if that moment didn't happen, or even if the moment did happen, but he actually won the battle, he wouldn't have got as many benefits from it. Like he had Matt Hoffa making videos about him and all kinds of shit.
It's true. I mean, it's true that, like, that's one of the really great things about battle rap is it, even when wins and losses are involved, it's really not about wins and losses. I mean, the money kind of blurs the line, because it's sort of like, well, but he could have gone all the way and got the prize money, but you never know, right? You really never know. So I mean, he was super smart about it, because he absolutely maximized his opportunity off of that viral moment.
Oh, yeah. At the end of the day, Frack won that one for himself. You know what I mean?
He did. That's the thing. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, when you turn around and drop something brand new right after that, knowing that you're not going to come back to the Grand Prix when people want you to, and all they can listen to is your new music, I'd say that's pretty proper timing.
Yeah, man. He's a super smart guy. Shout out to him. Just really funny with the skits and everything like that too that he does. So yeah.
Since we're talking about Diz, do you remember seeing Diz in Family Man battle?
Yeah, I remember that battle. Yep.
I think that was one of the very close ones too. You know what I mean?
It was very close. It was very, very close. Honestly, I can't remember if that is the week that Organic asked me to judge or not, but it made me really glad that I had said no, because I'm like, I don't know how to call this.
See, that was the one for me. Everybody else was on, like, I thought they were all very close. I think the most decisive opinions were all Frack. I was Saya, but Family Man Hayes one, that was the one that I was like stomping around my kitchen going, what the fuck were you guys watching? And like, maybe the only one of the entire Grand Prix that I even reacted that way to was that
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm the asshole over here that's like, close battles aren't robberies, like, about everything. And right. That was the one that I was like, come the fuck on, really?
Riding hard for the Family Man. I like it.
No, dude, I was so glad he came back. He was probably my favorite / dark horse for the entire Grand Prix.
I would say, I mean, outside of like Frack's graph, which of course is, as we said, the huge standout, but my actual favorite moment in the whole Grand Prix is when Family Man Hayes said, avocado, you're now looking at a black father with custody. Cut back to battle rap, the clip big. It was so fucking good. I'm like, that's what we're missing. That just sort of like, on the one hand, you're taking it very seriously as a competition, but you're also like having fun with it and like utilizing comedy. Like, yeah, that's what's missing.
Since that day, I don't think a 5-day period has passed where at some point I don't randomly say, but back to battle rap.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't have to do with battle rap. I could be finishing my lunch at work and I'm sitting back down at my desk getting ready to go back to where I'm like, but back to battle rap. Like, I just say it randomly all the time. I love when Hayes did that shit. Hayes had a great run in there. He had great performances in that tournament.
Oh yeah, no, totally. And that's going to be a big boost to his stock for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was cool seeing Ock back too. Like, when I first saw him at the host table, I was like, who the fuck is this? I was like, oh, I remember this dude.
Yeah, I really liked his battles back in the day. He had such a cool energy.
Yeah. He was fun. Going back in the day, back in the day, you're in like WRCs, even before that, all that's a different time in battle rap completely. And I mean, you go back and watch the footage, it's some of the poorest fucking footage ever, right? Right?
Yeah, 240p or whatever.
Did they, at that time, were you just like having fun with it? Did you think you were growing something that was going to turn into? It's a fucking industry now. Like it is.
I certainly never pictured it ever being something where, you know, real money was involved and it was actually a business and all that sort of thing. I just thought it was like a fun hobby to do, you know, in between studying for university classes. So it's crazy. It's crazy to see the direction that it's gone. And I mean, really a lot of it grew out of those World Rap Championships, that jump off competition. That's where a lot of the original connections were made, and that was the first time that battle rap was really presented in like a league format. So
what do you miss? Like, you still keep up with it, you obviously still know people, but like when you do sit back and watch like a Grand Prix, do you miss like being in the room? Do you miss performing? Like, what do you like sit there and go, man, I miss this?
I don't miss performing at all. I have to be honest. I think like truly now that I'm in like a creative career that I find very satisfying with screenwriting, any urge to like battle or perform in any sense has like completely gone out of me. And I think because my creativity always just was pointed more towards the writing side of things, you know. So I'm just like a lot happier in that space. And maybe also just, you know, I'm not as young anymore, so that competitive streak maybe isn't there as strongly. I'm like, yeah, I'm happy to just sit back and watch, but I do miss being in the room for sure. Yeah. And you know, when we can all go to live events again, I will definitely be in attendance once more.
And can it please be blackout? Because I need a blackout in my life soon.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, oh dude, like whenever we get, of course we will get a blackout card again, and when that happens, like, because the energy in the room when those announcements get made, that is actually one of the coolest moments in battling periods.
Yep. So. Yeah. Well, when you did the surprise 2-on-2 with Shuffle T and Marlo and Knamelis, dude, I was there, and like leading up to it, there were rumors out there, speculation. But I took it as just a joke, right? I was like, they're obviously not going to do some sort of like surprise 2-on-2. And it happened. So I don't know if it was like leaked rumors or if it was just people speculating and it got some feet underneath it. But when that happened, like, especially, so when Marlo came out, I was like, oh, okay, definitely Nameless is coming out. But the way they had the whole back blacked out so much, you couldn't really see Nameless.
Yeah, you didn't know he was there. It actually, the thing is, like, I mean, obviously a lot of it was planned in terms of how we were going to bring the partners out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that there were certain aspects of it that weren't planned at all that worked out really, really well. And that was one of them. Because yeah, the way he just like emerged from the fucking crowd,
man.
Literally some WWE shit, which is exactly
you literally, I was waiting for you to finish so I could say there's never been another Nameless battle in which I felt more strongly that he should have been a pro wrestler than that
yeah. Oh, the hair and everything. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
That's so funny. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, but and that was, I mean, a lot of it, I will credit to Nameless. Like, it was actually his original idea to do that. And he explicitly said, he's like, you know what we need more of? Like, part of how this whole idea happened is he said to me one day, we were like working close to each other in Toronto. We just had offices close to each other. So, you know, we'd get lunch and stuff like that. And he just said to me one day, he's like, you know what we need more of in battle rap is like WWE stuff. Like, it's all pre-planned anyway. Like, it's not, you know, there's an authentic aspect to it where you're really writing your material and really trying to perform it, but it's like, it's all set up ahead of time. So why not just do storylines like that?
The Grand Prix face-offs were pretty WWE.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I think actually these days more of that is sort of incorporated, and people kind of know there definitely is like a kayfabe thing, right? Because it's like you kind of know that when battlers are talking shit to each other, like online or in press conferences or whatever, like it's kind of fake. You know what I mean? It's not scripted, but you know they're sort of playing a role. But you want to see it. You want to see that energy.
What do you mean it's not real?
Sorry, everyone hates each other.
My 12-year-old soul just died. Thanks, Alex.
I don't know if I want to see that. In my personal opinion, though, right? Like, I don't know. I think face-offs.
The face-offs. It's funny too because I don't think we've talked to one battler yet that enjoyed the face-offs. Everyone we talked to in that Grand Prix was like, "Fuck these face-offs."
I've been saying it from the beginning. When there's two guys who are about to go and fist each other in the face, You know what I mean? I could see them talking shit to each other, but if your job is to talk shit to each other,
And now
Right,
you're gonna
yeah.
talk shit
Save
the
it
night
for the
before.
ring.
Yeah.
Save it for the ring. Honestly, I didn't mind. I can certainly see that for like the face-offs that they do nowadays, you know, in COVID era battle rap. But I liked the press conferences because when it's like
Yeah.
there's actual people in the room and you're answering the questions, it's not so much about like you're not directly across from each
Yep.
other in that same way. I liked the press conference feel, you know.
until Jake Paul runs through and steals a hat.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, those press conferences, that format was much better back in the day when they do it, and they'd have I know a couple of them. They'd have Bishop being like the host, like the Dana White of the press conference. That dude is the best. Actually, I put something on Facebook not too long ago about one of my favorite memories at whatever KOTD event it was. They're getting ready to set up the like cameras or to film, like not just set up for the beginning of the night, but to shoot the next battle. So, you know, people need space and this and that. And Bishop's just walking along, stomping down at people's feet. I don't give a fuck about your shoes. I will kick you in your fucking feet. Move the fuck back. It's like that is crowd control.
Yeah.
But you would conduct those press conferences because there'd be like actual, you know, media people there, or every once in a while you get a battler sitting in like, you know, the media area, just asking funny questions or whatever. And Bishop would control that really, really well and make it a lot of fun. There was also a video that went I don't know if it went viral, but it was online of I think it was Marv sneaking someone out of the press conference. It was the event that Drake, one of them that he hosted or was like a sponsor of.
Yeah, it was well, okay, maybe you may be talking about something different, but what I remember happened is maybe Marv did something else.
They put a coat over someone.
Well, okay, so if so, maybe it is the same thing I'm thinking of, but it was 100 bullets. 100 bullets. Put a coat over Shuffle T.
Yes.
Pretended Shuffle T was Drake because you can't see who he is with the coat over, and of course 100 bullets looks like a fucking bodyguard. So he like hustling him out past all these fans who were like gathered because they found out Drake was in this room. Meanwhile, Drake has gone out the side door straight into an armored car and is like gone. But yeah, so 100 bullets comes out and then takes the coat off, and it's just like this British dude with long hair.
Yeah, that like, shit was so funny. Yeah,
it was great.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like we were talking the growth of battle rap and everything. Fucking like a superstar like Drake being a part of these KOTD events, and it wasn't like Drake had a little bit of buzz at that time. Like he was just as big as he is now. That might not be true, but he was massive. You know what I mean?
He was, yeah. He was certainly
superstar,
not at his peak.
Megastar.
He was, yeah. He'd achieved that status. Like when he came to see Disaster versus DNA, he dropped
that battle. That was nuts.
The week after that. I'm pretty sure. Like Take Care was about to come out when he did that.
Yeah,
you know. So it's like it's not like. He obviously is just a truly passionate fan of it because you know, it's not something he has to do, of course, and probably he doesn't really have time to do it. I mean, he skips the Grammys and stuff.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, that was the Pat versus Strom event, right?
Yep.
Skip the Grammys to be at a KOTD event, but at that one he wasn't present behind Organic like he was with DNA and Diz.
No, well, the thing about that event is it was just such a big event. There were so many people there. I think they just felt like, you know,
it made sense.
We can't have him around. We're not able to lock down security as tightly. So, you know, he was in sort of like the VIP room upstairs, like watching. It was kind of funny because it was, you know, he was watching us from behind this. Like we knew the room where he was at the back of the auditorium, like above everything, but you can't see into that window. So it's not like we can interact with him, but people have written all these Drake bars, right? Because they think he's going to be standing there. So they're kind of delivering their Drake bars like into the stage lights way at the back of the auditorium.
Is that you, God?
Oh, shit. What was your favorite venue to perform at?
Man,
XS.
Honestly, for me, I loved the events at XS. For me personally, performing, that wasn't the best for me just because, you know, we didn't have mics at that point in time. So projection was so important. And I don't project my voice very loudly. That's not my thing. So I felt like, you know, just in that space, I wasn't at as much of an advantage. I really liked like the Blue Moon, like, you know, where I battled Dumbfounder. I mean, maybe just because I did that battle there, but that was, you know, to me, that was sort of the best kind of like sketchy, you know, slightly below professional level battle rap venue where it had that like grimy feel. And it was literally, you know, everyone was just literally like there. You know, it gave you a really good vantage point to see the battles. Obviously, we couldn't do it once we got more people coming out to the events, but yeah, I definitely have very fond memories of battling there. And there's a venue in London where Don't Flop did events that I can't recall the name of, but it's kind of like the perfect battle rap venue because they have a stage that's just sort of like it's not really a stage, it's just risers in like the center of the floor. So you are above the crowd, so you can kind of see everyone and like perform to the crowd, which I really like. But it still gives you a little bit of that pit feeling because people are all around you. And then there's like a room above that which is like the VIP area for the rappers, and it kind of looks out over everything, so it's like the perfect vantage point. And then you go outside and there's like hot dog and hamburger outdoor grill right outside the venue. So it's like that. I mean, look, if we could have every event in London there, that would be amazing.
Yeah, that would totally be cost effective also.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm into the bunker vibe personally.
Yeah, I mean that's what a lot of the fans like to see. When I did the Back to Basics with John, they didn't have that venue yet. Mm-hmm. So I mean it was kind of a similar vibe there, but I think the bunker was just better. I was never there. I'm just going off the videos, but yeah, it was obviously like built and set up for battle rap. So it was, you know, it clearly was ideal for that because that was the whole intent behind it. So yeah, wish I could have done something there for sure.
So going back just a hair, you keep mentioning Shuffle T. I'm curious, have you seen his podcast, his new show, his new podcast?
I haven't actually got a chance to watch a full episode. I've only seen some of the clips he's been posting on Twitter, which look hilarious.
I like, when I initially had this thought, I was like, oh my gosh, what if he asked you to be on? Because that would be so dope. Obviously, you probably wouldn't be too into that at this point, but
I mean, I just don't know if I could keep up, man.
Dude, like, it's so much fun though. Like, honestly, there's only, I think, like 8 or 9 episodes so far. Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you one that I would go, I wouldn't have done that. Like, they're all so good. Like, they just recorded on Saturday or Sunday. I don't remember what day.
Right.
With Lush and Diz.
Yeah. And Diz would be the greatest at that.
Dude, so I watched it live when they recorded it. Yeah. It'll drop in like 2 weeks. So I'm not going to like go too far into it because I think some of the people that listen to this do watch that. So I don't want to like spoil them, but I don't think what you might expect to see from Diz is what you will see from Diz on that particular episode.
Interesting.
So, but that being said, I am happy to have firsthand involvement in them reaching out to you if you actually might say yes, because I feel like that would need to happen.
Yeah, I would. I mean, fuck it. Why not? You know what I mean? I might embarrass myself, but I'm not trying to be a rapper anymore. So what does it matter, right?
But that's kind of the beautiful thing about the show is that it's like competitive because y'all are competitive. But if you're not, it's really just fun and like funny.
It's all about the vibes, honestly. Anything with proper vibes nowadays, I'm all about, because let's be honest, the vibes in the world in general are not good. They're not good. So anything with that brings up the vibes, I'm all about.
Okay, so since you're so free of full of free time, you should go watch some of them.
Okay.
Or watch one sometime in the next 6 months.
Yeah, for sure. No, I definitely need to sit down and check it out properly. I mean, yeah, the clips alone are fucking hilarious. Tony D, I think, is actually the funniest person I've seen on there. Just like his whole attitude towards it killed me.
Dude, when they first started doing it, to be quite honest, I had the same thought, like when we were talking earlier about would you be involved in like, you know, a series if they did it. As soon as the Sounds Like show started, the first one I saw, I was like, how did nobody do this before?
Right, exactly, right. Thing? Yeah. And I remember the Dirtbag Dan show back in the day did the bar pong thing, but I mean, that's only one aspect of what they do on that show. Right. But yeah, it's just a fantastic idea. I'm glad they're having success with it.
If you could choose a partner, who would you choose?
If I could choose my partner,
because there are like team games on the show.
Obviously Sharon, like who is going to be better at that game than Sharon, right? Like come on.
Totally fair.
Or I would say also Carter Deems, because he thinks of rhymes that other people absolutely do not think of. So
speaking of Carter, you mentioned him earlier too. I have not seen him do anything, and granted, I've not been paying much attention since the Grand Prix little situation. Is he doing anything right now?
I'm not sure. I mean, the thing about Carter is, he was on Waffling Out. I don't know. I don't know totally the status of that. He also has like a comedy career, so he's like I've seen him do improv comedy at theaters in LA and stuff like that. So he's always like just popping up all over the place and doing different things that interest him, which is, that's the life we all really want to live, right? So
I feel like that has to be the most amazing. I've never seen him do improv. Like, he has to be the best.
He's fantastic. I mean, you can just imagine, I will say he's perhaps not a character actor, but that's not really the point of that style of improv. You know what I mean? So he just has the exact same sort of like demeanor that we all know so well from battle rap on stage. And it's, he doesn't have to do anything. He just gets a laugh no matter what.
Is there any carryover? Like, does he do like cat skits and that kind of thing?
I don't know. I mean, I've only seen, to be honest, I've only seen him one time, and it was all like audience suggestion type stuff. So yeah, he wasn't bringing a lot of his battle rap persona into it, but maybe he does at other points.
I got to be honest. Like, over the years, I've gotten a moderate amount of shit for loving Carter as much as I do. But
why?
I know, because
he's
you
the
have
goat. Really,
right.
He's the goat of what he does.
Because you have these rap purists who are like hip hop heads, and that's all. And they want rap. That's why. But, what I was going to say is that everybody's kind of different, right? And like, you yourself are no stranger to adding a little humor. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of my jam, because I feel like there are so many different elements to battle rapping in general. I mean, timing and structure and how you write and the audience and the energy. Like, there's all these things. So you got a lot to choose from, a lot to draw on. But I feel like being able to also add in comedic timing and comedic value, which is an entirely different thing, is like the utmost for me. So like, if you can be good at rapping and battling and be funny, like, those are always my favorite people.
Of course. And I mean, I've seen Pat Stay, who's someone who obviously incorporates humor incredibly well. He has many weapons in his arsenal, but that's obviously one of the strongest. He says all the time, he's like, everyone likes to laugh. Like, if you can make the whole crowd laugh at your opponent, of course you're going to win the battle. Like, more people need to incorporate that element. It's it's super strong, and for casual fans, like, that can be a lot of the times what draws them into it.
Exactly. I mean, look, I love good, well-written gun bars as much as the next guy, right?
Of course, yeah, but we all do.
If I'm shooting water out of my nose over I always wanted to give a gnome 5, you're doing something right.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I mean, and to that point, also, let's bring back compliment battles, at least on occasion, because to speak to the comedy and bringing in the new fans angle, like, there you go, especially when you have a captive audience right now with still not having live events.
Oh, yeah. No, that would, I honestly don't know why it doesn't happen more. And maybe it's just because, as you said a minute ago, people are so competitive. But yeah, we should get some more of those going.
Yo, speaking of that, I saw on Twitter just the other day, Pat Stay he tweeted something about that compliment battle he had with against Roan. Yeah. And Jay Murda said that he thinks he could really do one of those well, and he would like to. You know how fucking funny someone like Jay Murda would be if he could pull that off? Because I mean, he is gangsta as fuck. So him as in a compliment battle would be hilarious, I think, if he could pull it off.
Well, exactly. That's the thing, right? It's like there's so much you can do in the battle rap format. So when people say things like, oh, it's getting overexposed, it's going to get stale, it's going to get stagnant, it's like, it's not, because as we've seen over the years, people will keep innovating within the format. There's no limit to where you can take it.
Yeah. And there's a thing too, like, people have always tried to look at it as like it's URL versus KOTD or Dope Flop versus KOTD, even though Dope Flop KOTD did work a lot together. But then obviously there's been issues with and everything else. But people try to turn it into a rivalry. There is a difference between those stages and those crowds. Definitely. There always has been. And now it's just more clear, I think. And it's like, you go to URL, you're not looking for Ilmac versus Iron Solomon, right? That's not a URL type battle. You don't go to KOTD looking for Mook versus Tay-Rock, right? It's a different
Mhm.
crowd. It's a different thing. It's you get a different product from it, and that's like a growth in battle rap where the it's not. I don't think it's a rivalry, like I was saying, where people try to play it out as that.
No, it's really not. I mean, I don't think myself or any of the rappers have really looked at it that way, you know. But that stuff is more just fun for fans to talk about, you know.
So you being the first ever KOTD champion, um, is that more important to you then or now? Now that you see what it's become and how prestige it is.
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, it's just different. You know what I mean? It's just different. At the time, I of course had a huge amount of pride, you know, in the accomplishment and in kind of like representing the league and helping to build the league's reputation in a way. You know what I mean? Not giving myself too much credit, but I think that, you know, I was looked on, I hope, as a good champion and representative for the league. So yeah, of course it meant a lot to me then. And yeah, like you say, it does mean a lot now to look back on what it came from. You know, there's also like, there's a certain irony to me where I get to be like, yeah, I was the first one. And they're like, well, no one ever says, well, who did you beat? Because I don't, I don't want to be, I beat Bartone for that, so yeah, I probably would not be winning the chain in today's environment, but no one can take it away from me. You know, it's always there in the history books.
One of the times we had Lush on, we started talking about the different scenes. You know, obviously there's a scene in New York, there was a scene in California, way before, not, I shouldn't say before, but before there was a scene that was known in Canada, right? And Lush told us that you were the guy. Like all those California motherfuckers, they looked at you from Canada as like, that's the guy, that's the problem. He's the one right there. When did you first start realizing that these people outside of, your circle are recognizing you as one of the best?
Oh man, I mean, that's really cool that Lush said that. I appreciate it. I have a lot of love for Lush. I mean, it was on, I don't know if you guys go back all the way this far in the culture, but if you remember rapmusic.com, the MC battle boards forums on rapmusic.com, that was the place where everyone who was interested in battle rap sort of congregated. When I first started getting involved in like 06, 07. And so, yeah, I would like the first real battle events I did, I got my friend to like videotape it on camcorder because we didn't even have iPhones then. This is how far back this goes. Uploaded it to YouTube and like shared it on rapmusic.com just because that's where I like to go to find out about battles and to watch them. So I was just like, hey, made an account, was like, did a battle. And got great feedback because all the top guys were posting on there at the time. So yeah, I kind of got that recognition, at least from the people who were like really, really in the know, which was only a handful of people at the time. But I got it fairly early on in that sense, and it definitely encouraged me to keep going. But I mean, the WRC is really where that kind of kicked off.
So wait, you're saying you didn't upload anything to MySpace?
Oh yeah. Oh dude, I was all over MySpace. Yeah, are you kidding me? My carefully considered top 8. I'm sure.
Will you stop taking everything out of my mouth before I say it? Please. I was gonna say, hit me with your top 8. Go.
Yeah, I do not remember, but there were probably some battle rappers in there.
That's hilarious. So you said you were mentioning the chain before, and we all know you were the first. What were your thoughts on the belt now that it's a belt and not a chain?
The belt is sick as hell. Honestly, they need to make me. They need to make me a like new era chain or a belt or something. Because man, I need like a. I guess we already passed the 10-year anniversary. I guess I need maybe like a 15-year anniversary one or something. A ring. I don't know. I need something because I kind of got ripped off a little on like the level of jewelry that I received.
We should start a GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Oh my
absolutely.
God. But Kickstarter for just Kid Twist belt.
Yeah, buy Twist the chain. Yep. Yep.
Oh my gosh. And you know what's so funny? It would totally happen.
Yeah, I would of course never do that. But that's pretty funny.
It just takes
you're probably
off.
right, it probably would happen.
It takes off. There's $250,000 in there, and you get a big P. Diddy chain from like 99, 2000. You got to wear it all the time.
Yeah, anything with something that spins, that's what I'm looking
Absolutely.
Dude, look, if Avocado can go live every 30 seconds with a round for round of old battles and people are dropping $200 in the chat like nothing's going on, I think you have a good chance of waking up tomorrow like P. Diddy.
Oh, we're gonna.
Yeah, there you go.
Kid Twist getting a Diddy chain.
At
least we accomplished something.
Forget the Sounds Like show. I have a new goal. No, I'm kidding. But so if you were to design something for a new champ or a Grand Prix winner, I mean, that was even a different belt, which was kind of cool also. Would you go? Obviously, that's top of mind since I just said belt. Would you go jewelry or like what would you design?
Oh, that's a really interesting question.
Ribbon.
What would be cool?
I want like a brass mic.
Yeah. I think, I mean, this could be sort of in addition to anything else, but like a custom like boxing robe to come out to the battle in, you know what I mean?
No, absolutely not. We have to go. All I can see is Diz coming out of something with fireworks and
yeah.
No.
Yep.
Okay, next thought. So jewelry. No, that would actually be hilarious. I think there are tons of people that would have a lot of fun with that.
Oh yeah.
I want like a headband. How about a headband and beads for Diz? Because he's got to win something.
Mm-hmm. You know what? They could customize it to every champion. You know, give someone something unique to their character.
How do you feel about to go back even again, we have our champ, but then we also have the Grand Prix champ, like unify the title idea? Like, do you like leave Grand Prix where it is and let them have that, or do you always?
I think so. I mean, you know, that's something that we're very familiar with from wrestling, from fighting sports and other things. You know, multiple titles. I don't see why not in battle rap. Like, you know, there's so many battles. There's so much going on. I think KOTD can accommodate multiple belts. You know.
Well, Saint gets a chance to hold both, right?
Yeah, and but that's cool because that then becomes a storyline, right? It's like it's way more exciting to see someone who like has a belt who's trying to be the double belt holder than to just see, you know, Real Deal Battle Saint, right? It adds that level of drama to it, which I think is really cool.
I think the most important question is: do we hire Trevor D Custom Jewelry?
That line where Pat talked about Sharon doing
yes. Oh my god.
Trevor D Custom Jewelry.
Oh my god. Oh,
too good.
See, that battle was so amazing. I wish the fuckery didn't happen with the third round. I get why they had to do it. Whatever. But shit. When we had Knamelis on, he was talking about he was a judge in that battle. Yeah. And like he knew what was going on before the battle started. So right away in his mind, it was like he didn't say this, but in a way, like an automatic loss for Pat because like
and if I recall correctly, I think Knamelis was one of the judges who gave it to Sharon, right?
Yeah.
I think he was the only one he was saying.
Yeah, Yeah. There was another judge too. I forget who it was, but they said in an interview they barely paid attention. And they gave it to Pat.
God, really?
Yeah.
See, going back to the conversation about judges, when you see shit like this went down with Sharon and Pat, and Nameless being the only one who gave the vote to Sharon, now you know this guy's not fucking around. He's a pretty credible judge. Yeah. You know what I mean? Now when you see him on the panel, you're gonna be like, yeah, maybe if these guys fucked around, you know that Nameless was for real, right?
Yeah,
right.
I remember being at that battle, like, you know, Sharon came out like shaky almost. Like something's completely off.
Yeah, there was. I didn't know exactly what had happened until after the battle.
Yeah, me neither.
But there was certainly a weird energy to it. Like you could tell something was up when you were just seeing it. Yeah.
Pat went off at the first. Like we went all the way off in the first.
Oh yeah, dude. That Pat State performance. I mean, like the other shit aside, the performance that Pat gave was, you know, just otherworldly.
Yeah, and then the second round, Pat did nothing but jokes and everything, and they're funny.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you're right. The second round was a little bit late that way. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, his first and honestly his third as well.
yeah, his third was good, but then compared to Sharon's third, where he's half freestyling, half using material that he can, and his mind wasn't in the right place. But
Right.
I don't think he'd take anything away from Pat, because Pat had an incredible fucking performance.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's one of probably still to this day one of the best title matches, I would say. So yeah, you can't really take anything away from either of them in that, regardless of the circumstances.
And if that's what it is, imagine if Sharon would have brought what he was supposed to.
Right. Yeah, man. Yeah, you don't know. You don't know.
Well, what do you think about Pat, though? I mean, obviously there are a lot of memorable lines throughout the years from all kinds of people, but like, what is it about Pat, in your opinion? Because I feel like battlers are much more eloquent at explaining why Pat is so good than fans that are just rabid Pat fans. What is it about Pat that makes Pat be the one that can go, Arcane, that's a hard name, and everybody for the rest of time will remember that, but 50 other people could say it and it would just not go anywhere? Why?
The thing about Pat is he is just a natural. You know what I mean? Like, if you have a conversation with Pat Stay in person, he's the exact same person as he is on stage. You know what I mean? So he's not putting on a character. That's just who he is. So he just has like naturally incredible comic timing, a completely dominant persona. I mean, partially because he's just so big, but he knows how to use it and how to carry himself to command a room. And like that Arcane hard name thing is so perfect because it's just like he just gets so quiet, so casual, so off the cuff, and it catches you off guard. And then the next second he's like, just going all out, rapping these crazy like patterns and bars and everything. So he's just a completely natural performer. He has so many tools at his disposal, and he knows exactly how to use all of them and how to control the energy of the match and exactly when to like get quiet and be funny and how to deliver a joke and then how to go into something else. And so yeah, just everything he does is so smooth and just hits.
He's the total package is what you're saying.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously I'm a huge Pat Stay fan. He's probably one of my favorite battle rappers of all time, unquestionably.
Same. Also, I keep backtracking because I just like want to hear you keep talking. So now I have to keep going backwards because I don't want to keep stopping you. But when you talk about, you mentioned, Wild and Out earlier when we were talking about Carter, had the opportunity presented itself at the right time for you, would you have done like a Wild and Out or a Total Slaughter or any of these kind of like, we're trying to go mainstream TV, not really an actual battle event things that have happened?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's the thing about stuff like that is you don't know how it's going to turn out, and in the case of Wild and Out, honestly, it's a funny show. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. I don't think there's any real negatives to being on that show. Obviously, Total Slaughter is a different animal, right. But yeah, that's the thing. When these opportunities present themselves, you have no idea what the end result is going to be. So as the artist, you kind of have to jump at the opportunity and put everything you have into it, and the rest of it is out of your hands.
I really kind of feel bad continually asking you those questions since you're not like that involved anymore. But you're like one of few people that I think that of anybody who could have done any of the things that you see happening now that would have been very successful at it and people would have loved to see do it. Like, you would be one of those people. So it's like everything you were talking about, I keep sitting here thinking like, man, you were like 10 years too early. Why you gotta be like that?
Right. I mean, like the way I think about it though, is I was at exactly the right time, because what I was doing with the more comedic style, that was what was hot at the moment that I came in, and I kind of made it a little more popular, but it was already starting to happen because you already had like Marvin Quest were in the WRCs before I got in, because I came in after the like prelim qualifiers or whatever they called them. So you already had that kind of move towards a more comedic approach, and then I became part of it. And so it was sort of like this perfect synchronicity between what was happening in the scene and what I really excelled at. Whereas if I came in a different time, I don't know if I would have got that same reaction. But, to go back to what Pat says, everyone likes to laugh. So I think, comedy always has a chance to make an impact. You just have to do it in the right way for that era, which is why, like I said, I appreciate what guys like, Frack and Dunch and Carter and Shuffle do right now, because they totally get how to be funny, but also be rapping really well in a way that the crowd responds to on that level, in addition to laughing at the jokes.
So back to your newest project at hand, Yasuke. See, I'm gonna keep fucking it up.
Yeah, Yasuke, you got it.
Rosa production.
No, that's one thing, but back in fucking January when I first messaged you and you said to reach out late April, early May, you said you had a bunch of projects in the works. So what else is in the works?
Oh man, I get myself in trouble. I got a big mouth. I mean, it's true. It's true. I do, but I can't talk about any of them.
Is it more anime?
None of them have been announced yet. But if you follow me on Twitter or Instagram, it's Alex K Twist in both places. All I do on social media really is like self promo, so I don't use it a lot other than
That's
that.
the smart way.
So yeah, just as soon as I can talk about it, believe me, I will be talking about it on there. But yeah, I can't announce anything yet, unfortunately. But I think it's stuff that people will be excited to see from me.
Can you give us a hint in terms of, is it like battle rap related? Like, that's a good hint. It's probably not
totally.
Right?
I'll say this. I think I can safely say this without breaking any NDAs. It's not battle rap. It is animated and on Netflix.
Dope. Okay.
Well,
So yeah. So that's kind of the direction things have gone. Sort of not just by happenstance, but it's also worked out really well with COVID going on, because that is the one type of production that has been able to happen without any limits, is animation. So
you don't need to put people in the same room to do animation.
That's right. Yeah.
Shit, eh? So has there been I hate to say explosion, because the anime already exploded years ago, but like an even bigger increase in that sort of thing since this whole pandemic and this lockdown shit?
I guess so. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of, because I'm still in Toronto, I'm a bit disconnected from the industry at large in LA, but my understanding from people there is that there's definitely been a big move towards animated content. But like I said, with Yasuke, I mean, this stuff takes a couple years to really get through production. So I imagine maybe like next year, you'll start to see just a ton of animated shows coming out.
Amy, what do you have up your sleeve here?
I don't have anything up my sleeve.
You definitely have something up your sleeve.
I don't have anything up my sleeve.
She does. She does, Alex. She does. She's messaging me all the way from Ohio. Let me know. Hold on. Don't rap.
I am not going to be put on the spot like this. I absolutely am not. No, actually, another thing I was wondering before we get to me being put on the spot, which is Jason's favorite way to end every single show.
Okay.
Would you, like, I have all these would you things, and I'm surprised I've gotten one yes, so I'm just going to keep going with these. Would you host an event?
I wouldn't want to like be doing what Organic does in terms of the primary hosting duties, because that's a lot, because then you're like wrangling rappers, and it's just, I mean, honestly, the man is a saint. I don't know anyone who runs an event. I don't know how they do it, because it just seems trying to deal with battle rappers on a set schedule seems like my absolute worst nightmare. But I'll jump in and like, and I've done this before, I'll jump in and be the co-host and like say a little thing. After Gully says get something for your girl, I'll say my little piece. But yeah, I definitely would not want to be the primary host, like trying to make sure an event runs smoothly, because man, anyone who does that has my undying respect.
Now, Alex, you remember when DNA tried to get Disaster to say all Canadians are faggots the second time, and he couldn't?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Well, do you want to say fuck Canada to the man you said it to before?
Did I say fuck Canada to someone?
Yeah, he's on the line right now.
Hey. What is
Oh shit, what's up?
Ah!
Dude, this is like the 2-on-2 all over again, because your voice came in at the same moment as your name popped up on the Zoom. It was the
Oh
perfect,
shit, you can see
perfect
it.
entrance.
Oh no.
But no, it was perfect. It didn't spoil it. The name and voice came in at the exact same moment. Incredible.
Oh,
How's
I
it
guess
going,
we get
man?
to see it first.
Oh, there we go.
Aw,
Shit.
Look
All
at
right,
you
fuck.
go.
Okay,
Oh, look,
hold
and you
on,
know
hold
what?
on.
This is a perfect
I'll
replay.
do
Wait,
mine
I have
then.
to say
I'll
this.
do mine. Whose hair is longer right now?
I
Oh
don't know,
fuck!
but
You
you
got
got
me
a soul.
totally beat.
Oh,
Jacob
Nameless has you
killed
beat.
me.
Nameless, you know what I was saying right before you did what you just did? I have never in my life felt more strongly that you should or could have been a pro wrestler than in that battle.
I got that commentary a lot. I mean, I think part of it was that it was like a 2-on-2. It was like, tagged in. That was all. But I definitely had the like Triple H.
Oh hell
Yes.
yeah!
And shortly thereafter cut it and have only now gotten back to a serious length.
Yeah, you're just about there.
How are you doing, gents? How's everyone? I couldn't miss up the opportunity to crash a call with some of my favorite folks.
Yeah, I told you, Alex, that she had something up her sleeve. I didn't even know what it was.
Damn.
I didn't
Good
think I'd catch
surprise.
him. Thank you for hopping on.
Well, now you can do with it, Amy.
You know what, honestly, like I was just saying to him, no, it was perfect because earlier, Alex, when you were like, really, it was all Nameless. That was what made that battle. I was like, oh my gosh, is he here right now? Are you here right now? And then that took like 30 minutes. So like, obviously,
That's funny.
Pat's the one with the timing. Amy's not the one with the timing. But we definitely always want to have Nameless back too. So now that we've got Triple H and Macaulay Culkin on the show.
Oh,
You're gonna get fucked up, Amy. You better recognize who you're talking to.
Come on. No. I just honestly was like, I don't think he'll come on. And so now that he has, I'm very glad that, because also he's going to be a very busy man in about a month again. And
yeah, he's not already. He's got nothing happening right now.
Like no sleep left in your life, busy.
Hey, huge congrats on the show, by the way, on your little baby there, Alex. That's I've
thank you, man.
People talking about it, and yeah, I don't know the story of that character before this series, but clearly it's something that's like a lot of people hold very dear to them. So it's awesome that you were able to work with like such a well-respected IP. It's exciting stuff.
Yeah, no, totally. No, it was an amazing experience. And honestly, yeah, I was saying earlier, we took it in a very like fantasy direction. And part of that initial decision was because there was supposed to be a live action movie coming out around the same time about Yasuke starring Chadwick Boseman, which didn't happen, of course, because he tragically passed. But yeah, so that was also part of setting it in this like fantasy realm, which so, like I was saying earlier too, some of the criticism has been about that because people just wanted to see the true story, or as much of the truth as is known, and then details filled in. But we felt like that would be what would be happening in the live action film, so we took ours in a different direction, which I thought was a good decision. And honestly, it plays like a classic anime. So I think that just the at least the way I look at it, the meaning of having an African lead character in an anime that fits into all the stuff we grew up watching, to me, that's big. So
yeah, and I think anytime you take like a character that's beloved to many people to a core audience, there's gonna like the Romeo and Juliet, right? Like making it contemporary and pulling it into modern day. The people who may like the Stratford stage performance critics might not feel as positive about it, but the benefit of it is that by referencing contemporary pop culture, you're allowing it to be a great story be digested by a bigger audience. And also I find I can't even start to understand how intimidating it is to work with like such a beloved thing, but I feel like by slightly abstracting it, you're taking a little bit of the pressure off to be like a shot by shot recreation that like that is looked at through that lens.
Yeah, I think so. And also like not that many details of the real history are known. So it's like a lot would be open to interpretation anyway. So even if we didn't go the fantasy sci-fi direction, people would have been probably upset about, we went this way versus that way or whatever, based on different tellings or accounts. So yeah, honestly, I'm just super proud of the show. Incredible project to have worked on. So yeah, it's been cool.
That's great. How far into this interview have I crashed it here?
Like 2 hours.
Nameless knows how this goes.
No, Knamelis was our first guest ever.
Oh shit, really? That's amazing.
Yeah, no, that is really amazing because Nameless, you didn't have to ever give us any of the time of day. And right from reaching out to you, you were with it. We got it done. It was fun. You in that crossing over into this battle rap world too. Well, it's not just battle rap we do. We interview people from all walks of life, but it was the Grand Prix. We're like, let's start with what we know: combat sports, battle rap, hip hop, shit like that. Nameless first and Direct was second, and like Poison Pen was like our fifth or
oh my god
guest, and he gave us over 4 hours.
Jeez.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, man, and like none of you guys have to do this for us.
So I've been going through, I have a quick Poison Pen tangent. I've been going through this kind of revisiting of what to me was like the foundational years of when I really fell in love with hip hop, which was like late 90s and like the raucous era, sound bombing and into the Def Jux era, and that whole like New York centric scene that was happening and developed there. And particularly there's a really good Open Mike Eagle is doing this podcast called What Had Happened Was, and he did like a whole series with Prince Paul, and then he's doing a whole series that's being released right now with LP, and and it's awesome. And they taught like basically like LP had this apartment that was downtown New York. It's like downtown Canada, but I think it's in Brooklyn. And,
RTJLP?
Yeah. What's that?
RTJLP? Like Run the Jewels LP?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same dude. Because he was part of a group called Company Flow that was really foundational to like that underground kind of.
Oh, I didn't know that. Cool.
Style. And then they did a bunch of production for a group called Cannibal Ox that was again like way ahead of their time. And then he started a label called Definitive Jux, Def Jux, that was a play on Def Jam. And that was like where like Aesop Rock and a bunch of those like undergroundy characters really started. And it was really like the part that I didn't realize that listening to these interviews was that it was really founded like it was all around his house. He had like his mom had some giant loft space that she divided into a bunch of different apartments, and he eventually kind of took it over. And so it became this compound that like there was just all of these crazy people at and just like churning out music. And so I've been on this a little bit of a binge for the past few weeks, just like finding old footage and little pieces and piecing together like stories I had heard and contextualizing them. And in one of them, they're like all just freestyling in an alley, which is like something that, I remember fondly doing, many ciphers with Alex as well and many others. And it's like Aesop Rock and C Ray's Walls and LP and then Poison Pen comes in out of nowhere and like spit some bars and like, held his own with these guys that were like, to me, like those were like gods at that time to me. Right. And so, yeah, it's just cool to see how much Poison Pen has been like central to communities that I've either like been soaking up experience from or like participating in myself. But he's like super OG in my books. That just elevated him to an even higher level.
He's like the way cooler Forrest Gump of battle rap, of hip hop in general, really. Like, like every historical event, it's like Poison Pen is in the background.
Yeah, there he is with like he like convinced Cannabis to get the mic tattoo, I heard.
Wow.
Not true.
It could be. That's the thing, though.
Be, right? That's like
let's start the rumor.
Let's
Yo,
do it.
Sean.
I just love that he's actually willing to tell it, because there are plenty of you who have been in all the places who don't tell all the things, but he is so good about not only sharing it, but like painting such a picture with it that's why I love listening to him so much.
I got huge love for that dude.
And he's like the nicest guy, like big up to everybody when you're talking to Penn.
No,
when we had Penn on, it got to like 2.5 hours. I went to wrap up. He was like, no. I told you we're gonna have a talk. Because that's what he said to me when we were messaging each other. He's like, we're gonna have a talk and then a second talk in capitals. We're gonna have a talk. So so try to wrap it up. He's like, no, we're gonna keep it going. I was like, all right, fuck, you want to keep it going? So I'm like, all right, let's just talk some hip hop. And like every single person I just bring up to just talk some hip hop about as a fan, Cormega, Ollie Vegas, all kinds of different people, Penn would respond with, oh, the first time I met Cormega, we were doing this and that. And I'm like, can't you just be a fan of somebody? Why do you have to be friends with everybody?
Man, he started pulling out Ed Sheeran and
hanging with Ed Sheeran, Taylor Swift,
like all over the place.
Yeah, man.
No, he was amazing. Although I have to admit, I was sick that day. So by 2:00 in the morning, while I really enjoyed his stories, I was ready to just swallow glass by then. So, but we will definitely have him back on. Although, Nameless, I know I've said this to you before, the number one person I think that we've said to, you got to come back, is Nameless, who has never come back because we agreed we wouldn't do shows all about battle rap, and that's all we've ended up doing. So at some point, we need to do that and figure out what we want to talk about. And then maybe Alex can crash your show.
Yeah, it's only fair.
Absolutely.
It's only fair.
Well, the start of the Grand Prix, Nameless, we had you on, and you were saying, you're so far to tune with battle rap. Well, like Twist was saying earlier in the show, he couldn't be a judge, yet you ended up being a judge in the Grand Prix later on. What changed your mind?
To me, I don't know. I watched a few of them. Actually, you guys got me really hyped on it, and I watched a few of them, and I felt at least involved enough. And I was seeing a lot of criticism of the judges, so that obviously, made me put the battery in my back, and I was like, oh, I still got it. It's
just
fun.
off the old sheriff badge.
I swore I'd never use this again. It calls for it. My funny little anecdote there is that we were originally supposed to be doing them like live on a video chat, like doing the judgments, but Avo's like Zoom license only allowed for like 4 people on the call or whatever software he was using to record it. So he's like, can you like record yours and send them over to me? And of course, like that didn't work on the first one. And I judged a battle before, like one of the earlier ones, and it just did, like they couldn't get the footage together in time and it wasn't working properly. And so I'm like scrambling, trying to figure out how to export and screen capture properly, get a video over to him. And then I do for the proper one, for the final one, and send it over. And it's not like long by any means. It's like 2 minutes long or something like that. Like they were saying, keep them 2 to 5 minutes or something, or whatever it was, 2 to 3 minutes. And I kept it in that range. It was like 2.5 minutes or something. But something was happening live in the event, so they showed like a minute of it. And I'm like getting into it. I'm like, oh, I got my notes and blah blah blah. I'm a dork. Like blah, blah, blah. And then they like cut away to something happening live at the thing, and I'm like, really, guys? But then the worst part about it is that they cut back to it, and it's like now it's like 11 minutes later, and I'm still like, and that's why I think the first round was that, and everyone's like, is this dude still talking? Like, is he just
dude, I remember that, and I didn't even know how it happened. I'm so glad you just told that story.
That's hilarious.
Like everyone hit me up, and they were like, dude, you're lucky they cut your like 15-minute judgment short. And I'm like, it was 2 minutes. I follow the rules. I won't cut me off.
Avo did you dirty.
And you know what's so messed up about that? Of anybody throughout the entire tournament being a judge like 1 time or 2 times, you were probably the number one person that people were like, if we could have a different judge, it would be great if it was Nameless. And then it was like, yeah, but we're not going to listen to everything he has to say. Sorry.
Got it.
Just kidding.
All right. Well, I got to go do some domestic stuff and clean up and whatnot. But big love to all you guys. It's great seeing your face, Alex. And I'm sure we'll chat soon. Are you in Toronto these days, or are you in Cali?
I am. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, honestly, at this point, I'm just kind of playing it by ear. I'm up here like indefinitely, as far as I know, until anything changes, pandemic wise or border wise. So, but yeah, man. So when we get jabbed, we can.
I got my first. I got my first shot.
Were you on Vax Hunters?
Yeah, I got the Gucci shot because Nicole's pregnant and I'm technically a caregiver. So
there you go.
I was able to scoot in under that. But yeah, definitely would love to see you and give you a hug soon enough.
Yeah, man. Likewise.
Thanks for joining us, man.
Talk to you soon. Thanks for having me on.
Bye. See you, man.
All right. So there's your surprise that Amy had up her sleeve.
Oh, incredible. That was awesome. That was awesome. I love seeing him. I haven't talked to him in a little bit. So yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is that normally he's not so quick to respond because he is very domestic these days. And so when you were like, "Oh, Nameless," I was like, I gotta message him. And he never answers me that quickly. So I think that he definitely was very excited to say hello.
Awesome. Well, yeah, that's great. Cool moment. Cool. Yeah, you created a moment. That's what it's all about, right? Like that's the whole battle rap thing. So that was great.
Before we let you get out of here, now you have to. I was going to ask both of you, but Nameless had to go. Give us one of the greatest memories of you and him performing together, when you battled each other. You guys really kind of came up in this together in a sense. And I know you guys are close. Like, give us something. Give us something funny. Give us something awesome. Give us something.
Okay. This is. Well, he's told this story, so he wouldn't mind me telling it. He might have even told it when you did the talk to him.
No.
Different story. Something nobody knows.
No, that's what we're going. No, I'm kidding. Tell whatever story.
So. When we did our 2-on-2 battle, there was a Raptors player in attendance, and I'm not even going to say his name because I don't follow basketball, so I'm going to fuck up what his name was. I think it was James Johnson. He was on the Raptors, right? I think it was he on the Raptors at one point? I think anyway. That's the name I remember. I think it was him. Anyway, so there was a famous ball player in attendance. And we're down in the basement because that was sort of where the artist area was for Blackout at that theater, kind of underneath the stage. So we're down there after the battle, just hanging out, having some drinks, whatever, me and him, and and a bunch of the other rappers. And this player, who of course I didn't know who he was either because I don't watch it, comes up and is talking to us and starts talking to Jacob, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I really liked your battle." And Jacob starts talking to him in a way, it's like, how you just talk to a fan, because not that it's disrespectful, but you get a lot of fans coming up to you at events, so sort of "Oh yeah, man, thanks, really appreciate it," that kind of thing. Yeah. and this guy's saying to him, he's like, "Oh yeah, what's your name, man? What's Nameless is saying, what's your name, man? What's your name?" And he's like, "James," and kind of very pointed, trying to tip him off, I'm really famous, right?
So did he figure it out? Did he say anything?
He figured it out. Nameless figured it out after the fact, after they talked. I mean, keep in mind we're a few beers deep at this point, right? Sure. So it's and the battle high and everything, so it's totally understandable. But yeah.
Did he take it in stride, or was he kind of a prick?
Oh, totally. Yeah, he was not offended or anything at all. He wasn't trying to big time him by saying James. He was just trying to maybe help him out of an embarrassing situation, sort of vibe.
Aww, that's gotta be awkward, even if you're not a prick about it, though.
Yeah. No, exactly.
I actually had a random interaction with a guy who is in Incubus, which I don't listen to, so I don't know who he is. And it was one of those moments, and except for he was a prick, but it definitely is the most awkward thing in the world for somebody to try to tell you, tell me this without telling me that. It's that thing, right? And then
no, exactly. And especially when you're at an event as the celebrity VIP, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I can't. So at least it wasn't a prick, so that's cool. Also, it was
No,
funny
yeah,
that
he
you
was a
got a
great guy.
total dead air space on that because none of us watch basketball. So
Yeah. No, I realized I was like, oh man, but I Googled while I was saying that. I'm like 99% it was James Johnson. So
I was gonna Google that, but also there's probably 10 million of them. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
it seems like a pretty common name. James Johnson.
Okay.
yeah,
So-
exactly. Not
Yeah,
really, not really
right?
standing.
It's not Shaquille O'Neal. It's not an oddball name. Okay, so I mean, we've taken up enough of your time, I think. Any more randoms you want to get in here, Amy? You got organic on the line, or like Bartone on the line, Holohan on the line?
I mean, Bartone would have been a great one. So I don't know. I'm feeling less aggressive about asking you to freestyle about anime now that I thought it was so cute that you and Nameless clearly were like, "Oh, hi." So
Yeah, you got the bromance guest spot.
you seriously were both
That's
very
a
cute
good
right then.
stand-in for the anime freestyle.
I definitely have a picture of that I will be tweeting. So there's that.
Oh, beautiful. There you go. Hey, a beautiful moment. I'm absolutely down to share it with the world.
There you go. No randoms for me. I usually have about 2,000, but when they hit me later, I will tweet you and drive you crazy until you block me. Okay?
I can't.
Sounds good.
I can't believe you forgot for a second that you said "fuck Canada" in a battle. You said it like 5 times.
Dude, I don't remember. Did I really? I don't remember anything I say in battles. Like people quote lines to me all the time. I'm like, I said that. That's fire. I don't remember.
Oh my God.
You got a beaver in lieu of nuts. You always canoe your blunts. Fuck Canada. I forgot the rest of it.
Wait,
but yeah.
what did I say?
You got a beaver in lieu of nuts. You always canoe your blunts. Fuck Canada.
Wow. Yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah,
Damn.
it definitely was. And Nameless said to you, his hair game shits on yours.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember
and apparently
very
it still
vividly.
does from what we saw tonight.
I know, man. I cannot fucking keep up.
All right. What's up, Amy? Were you gonna say something?
No, I just wondered how long we were going to talk about hair again.
What? You barely have any hair.
I've got plenty of hair, but that's not what we're here for.
You've had the same haircut as Pink for the past 10 years.
That's not a thing that's true, but okay. All right. I'm very sorry, Alex. This is how this show ends.
Some controversy on the podcast.
Brett, like, it's no. Actually, it was. I used to have that haircut, and apparently people thought that I looked similar to her, which I don't. And it just really aggravated me. So apparently we're to the point in the evening where aggravating me is the fun take.
That's always the fun take.
Yeah. So.
All right. So for Alex, Kid Twist Larsen, Amy Barton, Kirill Kasatskiy, I'm Jay Kelly. This is the Building Downtown. We out. Peace.
Peace.
Building downtown. Building downtown. Building downtown. Building downtown.